Well, good morning, my stitchy friends. Welcome to the NeedleBugg, and we are here today to talk a little bit about miscounting when you're doing your hard hanger and your piece doesn't, and your blocks do not match up. So, welcome to the NeedleBugg. I think I already said that, but we'll say it again. My name is Karen, and I'd like to welcome all the new subscribers, and thank you so very much for giving the channel a chance. And to all of you friends who keep coming back time after time after time, thank you, thank you, thank you so very much. You are so loved and appreciated, and I can't thank you enough for being subscribers to the channel. So like I said, today we want to talk a little bit about, oh my heavens, I stitched all the way around the border of my piece and I get to the other side and it doesn't match. I'm a thread off, or I'm a whole block off, or my cluster block should be sitting this way, but it's sitting this way. Now what? What do I do? Well, first of all, in that case, if you haven't put any guidelines in, your first job is to figure out where the mistake is. To go back to a point where you knew everything was correct, if in fact there is that point. You know, I've had it happen over the years where I got most of the way around a doily, and that exact same thing happened. And do you know where my mistake was? So if I started here and I got all the way around to here and I have things not matching up, do you know where my mistake was? Right over here in the beginning. So now what? Now I have to take all of this out so that I can determine. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. There we go. So that I can determine just where exactly I know I made the mistake here. So all of this is wrong. So all of that has to be, have a meeting with the frog. Okay. Best laid plans are to avoid that to begin with. Now, I will say, before we get into avoiding it, when you have a mistake and your blocks are not meeting up or things aren't lining up, the easiest way to find your mistake is to look at the back, because you can see more clearly the blocks and be able to line them up a little bit better by looking at the back. You'll be able to pick up quicker, where did I make that mistake? Did I put 6 stitches in instead of 5? Did I put 3 in instead of 5? You'll be able to tell that. Did I go over 5 threads instead of 4? You'll be able to see that quicker. I mean, I don't have any mistakes back here, unfortunately, to show you. But if any of these places I would have went over the 5th thread and you look closely, you would see that right away. Where if you're looking at it from the front, you may not notice it right off the bat. So look at the back of your work. You'll be able to see things quicker. So that's one tip I have for you. The other tip, well, the biggest reason I'm doing this video is to show you and talk about preventing those things. And you prevent those things by putting guidelines in. Let me back out here a little bit again. Okay. Now, I admittedly so, and I've said this before, I am a person who avoids putting guidelines in at all costs. I just do. I didn't learn that way. I didn't teach myself that way because I didn't know about it. And when I worked with a mentor, we really didn't discuss putting guidelines in. I think she may have mentioned it, but, you know, sometimes people are stubborn, like Ma. And it's, nah, I don't need that. I can count. This will be good. This is easy, whatever. Yes, it is easy. You only have to count to 5. But sometimes your needle gets a mind of its own, and it goes over 5 threads instead of 4. Or you get interrupted when you're doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you did 1, 2, you got interrupted, you came back and you did 4, 5. Or you did 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have a miscount, okay? Unfortunately, has a good side, an upside and a downside. Unfortunately, hardanger needs to be perfect. It needs to match up perfectly. There is no room for error. You cannot fudge it. Because if you fudge it and you cut, things are not going to line up, and you're going to have threads that don't belong, or threads, it's just going to be a total disaster. So things have to be perfect. Things have to line up. This is not a difficult embroidery to do. It is very easy to do because you have a very small repertoire of stitches that you use, and it's just putting those together to make something wonderful. Once you know how to do the blocks, the whole foundation is blocks. You're just repeating that same thing over and over and over again. Yes, the cutting is the scary part. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But we get you through that. You know, eyelet stitches. You know how to do eyelet stitches. You know, the stitches are simple stitches put together to make a gorgeous piece of embroidery. However, things need to match. I can't say, oops, I'm off a thread over here. Well, I'll just compensate for that. It won't work. Your piece will end up falling apart eventually. So, what do we do to prevent getting all the way around our piece and then finding out we have a mistake and either having to start all over or rip the whole thing or whatever? We put in what we call guidelines or basting lines. Okay, now this is my piece for the Hardanger Lovers Facebook group. Their Stitch Along. That's for February and March. And I didn't start this piece putting lines in, putting these red lines in. I decided to because I am changing. I'm changing the pattern. Okay, are you surprised? I don't think so. But I also wanted to be sure that everything lines up. So the way I started this, and first of all, oops, where's my, okay. First of all, what I'm using to put lines in, and you can use whatever you choose. You can use a piece of embroidery, you can use embroidery floss, you can use other pearl cotton, but you want it to stand out. And as you do in counted cross stitch, a lot of people use sulky sliver to put their grid lines in with. Well, I used sulky sliver to put my basting lines in with, or my guidelines in with, because I can see that, and your needle doesn't pierce it. It pulls out very easily. So this is the red sulky sliver, not silver, but sliver, S-L-I-V-E-R. It comes in different colors. I chose the red. It comes in silver. It comes in gold. I believe it comes in blue. So pick what's going to work for you. I think for me, the red is easier to see than say the silver or the gold. So I used that. You want to thread up your needle, and just as you're gridding your counted cross stitch fabric, you do this the same way. Now, what I did on this particular piece, and I'm going to zoom you in really, really, really close here so that you can see. Okay. First off, do this before you put any stitching on. That's my best advice. Do this prior to putting any stitching on your piece of fabric so that you have a blank piece of fabric. You probably or should know the size of your design. You should know how many threads you need in each direction. You figured out how big a piece of fabric you need. So what you want to do is fold your fabric in quarters. So fold it in half again, and find the center. Okay? Now, at this point, you could stick a needle in or a pin and know that that is your center. So then we'll have this marked with a pin or a needle or something. We're going to start our guidelines right here in the very center. So thread up your thread of choice to put those lines in. And then what I did was start here. Now, on this particular piece, I went over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2. And I thought I saw oh, maybe it's just because the thread gets a little lost. You could, and I would if I were to do, the next piece I did it differently. Do over 4, under 4, over 4, under 4. Makes counting for your cluster blocks a whole lot easier. Over 2, under 2 isn't bad either. I will know that, for example, okay, that my block ends here. So my next 4 would be here. My next 4 would be here. So it would be at the under stitches, would be the bottom of my cluster block. And if you see, that lines up directly with this one. Okay. So if I'm stitching along here, for example, and I'm like, oh, I'm not quite so sure this is right. Let me double check. I just have to run my needle from here to the center line and go, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Okay. So it's a means of checking things as you go. So you start here in the center of your blank piece of fabric, and you do either over 2, under 2, or over 4, under 4, all the way out to the edge. Then you come back to the center. You've left a long tail here. You come back to the center and you do it in this direction. Okay, so that is your center horizontal line. Now you need your center vertical line. So you do the same thing and you go up to the top down to the bottom. Same thing. Now, I did extra diagonal lines because, as I said, I'm changing the pattern. I want to make sure this was part of the original pattern, and I'm only going to use one of them instead of three. I want to make sure the tip of this matches on this side to the tip of the motif I'm going to put over here that I don't have finished yet. And then here, I decided to put some ships. Instead of 4 of these, or 3 of these motifs, I'm only doing 1, and then I'm going to put some ships over here on each diagonal. So, pardon me, I ran a basting line between the center of this over to the center of this side so that I can make sure I have my ships placed the same on both sides. So I did that for all 4 all four sides. Okay, so you can see here those lines run from here to here and from here to here. I don't know why this camera is making my hands look awful dirty. They really aren't. Must be the light. So this way I know things are going to be centered the same. It will also help me to know where to start my blocks, because I can see that it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And I can count here so that I can start mine at the same place and have them placed identically the same. So that's what we want. That is how you do basting lines. Okay. As you're stitching, every time, now, if this was a bigger piece, certainly, and I'm going to show you my bigger piece, you would put more lines in. So that, let me get this other one. Okay. This is the other one I restarted. Okay. So you can see here, I started up here, and I already have put many lines in. What I did is exactly what I had said. Because I have not determined exactly how I'm going to work this particular piece, what I did at this point was I just did the center vertical line, because I know for sure this is going to be the center across. I know that one for sure. How long I make it, I'm not so sure yet. I've already adapted this thing multiple times, and who knows, I will probably adapt it even more till it's all said and done. So I just did this center line to start. And this particular one I did over 4, under 4. Let's bring you back in here so you can see. Okay. Now, that is going to save you counting when it comes to placing other blocks. Okay. So if there's going to be another line of stitches inside here, like maybe it's going to be down X amount of blocks, there's going to be another row of cluster blocks. I just have to count my 4s and I know where I am. I don't have to count my fabric threads. I just count my sections of 4 and I can get to where I need to be. The other thing is, okay, I'm stitching down and down and down. Okay, I'm going down along here. And I'm getting, okay, now I think I have enough blocks. I need to turn up here, but let's just double check, are we on target? So I can just, again, run my needle across and find out that, oh yes, I come to the top of that guideline. So yes, I am in the correct spot. If you run your needle across and you're down a thread or two, oops, I have a mistake. Here's the other thing. So, okay, let's what if, pretend this block is off by 2 threads. Oh, now where is my mistake? I have to find my mistake. Well, I can look individually at these, but my first impulse is going to be, oh, wait, I have a guideline up here. Look, this guideline, this block was exactly on this guideline, right exactly where it should be. But now I get down to here and I'm off. So now I know one important thing. That important thing is my mistake is somewhere between here and here. Somewhere in here. That's all the looking I have to do. And because I checked when I got to here, and I know it's between here and here, if I have to have a meeting with the frog, it's only going to be for these few stitches or these few blocks. I'm not going to beat all the way around my whole piece. Same deal here. If I get up to here and this kloster block is not falling on this grid line, I have a mistake. Now I know, okay, I fixed this. This is correct. Now I know my mistake is somewhere between here and here. Now you can place as many or as few grid lines as you so wish. Okay? You do not, you can, if you choose, you can follow your chart and do, say, every your blocks on your chart are probably 10 by 10. You can do every 2 10 by 10 blocks or every third 10 by 10 block. When I put my extra grid lines in here, I just kind of randomly place them, but I place them off my vertical center line so that I know this is all correct. So I'm gonna pick here to do another guideline so that when I stitch down this way, good, thank heaven, it comes to the guideline. Awesome, I can keep going now because now I know everything from here to here is correct because it matched my guidelines. I have another vertical in here. So now I also know that everything from here to here is correct. So you want to put them in both directions so that you can match things up as you go. And you don't wait until you get, I mean, this is going to be a rather large, a rather large piece. I'm going to say this is roughly about 26 inches wide. And the length I have here is just about a yard. Okay. So I could, for all intents and purposes, make it a long runner. Now, do I want to get all the way around and have it not meet? Or do I want to get halfway around on one side with this first row and go back and do this second row and all of a sudden it's not matching? How do I know where to look for my mistake? I don't. So it helps. Like I said, I have, up until recently, not been a big user of guidelines. However, I have since changed my thought on that because I had a little one too many run-ins with the frog here of late and decided, you know what, just bite the bullet, Karen, put them in. It doesn't take all that long to do it. You don't have to put them at every 10 by 10 interval. Just come up with some random intervals throughout your piece and stick some lines in. If you want to wait and base some lines in as you go, you can do that, but this moves so quickly that I would just put them all in to begin with. Okay? Because kloster blocks go so quickly to stitch that it just doesn't take long. So I would do that. And check your work often. Don't wait until you have 3/4 of a side done and say, oh, maybe I better check things to make sure I'm right. Check things as you go, little by little. Catch the mistakes before they get to be a major headache to fix. The other thing I do, and I don't know that everybody does, I can only speak for myself and what I do, is if I have to frog, if the frog and I are going to have a meeting of the minds, I do not reuse that thread. Okay? 2 reasons, main reasons, is you've already worked with it. It's losing its twist. Now, it's losing its shine. You can get some of that back as you're working by just spinning your needle a little bit, and that puts the twist back in. But if you notice as you're working, that twist is probably coming undone. Every now and again, I'll spin my needle just to retwist it again. You don't want to do it hard, but you just want to give it a little bit of a twist, just like you do when you're doing counter cross stitch. Okay, so your thread is worn. That's the main reason I don't reuse it. The other thing is, with hardanger, you do not have to sit and pick every stitch out. All you have to do, and I'm not going to actually do it because this piece of thread is ended. Yeah. All you have to do is, being careful not to cut your fabric. Let me zoom you in here again. This is a zooming in and zooming out video, but I want you to be able to see. Okay. Okay. All you have to do to frog is take your scissors, stick them underneath that block. Let me do it up here because I can restart this thread. That's no big deal. Okay. All you have to do, all you have to do is stick your scissors under that block, being careful not to get your fabric. And what I do to make sure I don't have my fabric is give it a little squiggle. Okay. If your fabric's in there, these aren't going to squiggle. Lift them up. Cut it. Okay. I don't mind frogging this. I'll just redo it. It's no biggie. So you just keep going when my hands shake. Actually, I see a mistake there. I would have had to frog this anyway. Okay, so you just give it a little squiggle so you know you don't have fabric threads in there, and just cut it. Okay, so see, that makes it almost look like a piece of chenille. Okay, to then get that out, you just flip it to the back. Okay, take your scissors or your needle and just flick them out. That's the long and the short and the easy peasy method of frogging. Here I have an end I didn't cut off yet. Okay, very easy to frog. Very quick to frog. All right, so that is what I have to say about that. But I hope that helps some people. As I said, I was not a big have to put guidelines in, but you know, I found as I'm getting older and had some vision issues, not that my needle doesn't always go to the place that I want it to go. Sometimes my needle has a mind of its own, and it will pick up at that extra thread, or it will forget to do that 5th satin stitch or whatever. So do yourself a favor and put some guidelines in so that you can check on a regular basis and know that, yep, I am on target, I can keep going. Or, oops, I have a mistake, but now I know it's somewhere between here and here. And you don't have to go back and look over the whole piece to find that mistake, or the whole border to find that mistake. It will save you a lot of headaches. So with that, my friends, I'm going to say thank you for joining me today. You are so appreciated. I do hope this has helped someone or many of you. And yeah, look forward to, I will be demonstrating some filling stitches as I get to them. I have something different as far as how to fill this in. I have something different planned for what I'm going to do in here. So I will be recording that and telling you how to do that. Some stitches that I don't know. I have to look and see if it's in Yvette's new book. But the stitches I'm thinking about are often used in reticella. I think that's how you say it. Reticella embroidery. And I'm going to try and incorporate some of that into my heart hanger work. So we're going to be looking at some different things. So with that, my friends, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Get a lot of stitching time. And I will see you next time. So take care, and I will see you in the next video.